Now we're going to look at multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. The first step is always to convert to improper fractions. So to do that, we take the denominator times the whole number, and then we add the numerator. So 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, and then we leave the denominator the same. So 2 and 2/3 is equal to 8/3. And then we have times. We're going to change our next mixed number into an improper fraction as well. So 10 times 4, that's 40. We're going to add one more, and that gives us 41 over 10. Now you're probably going to want a calculator handy because these are some big numbers. When it comes to multiplying and dividing fractions, this part is super great because there's almost no work on your end. When we're multiplying fractions, we go straight across. So 8 times 41. Sorry, I don't even know that one off the top of my head. That's equal to 328. Then we do denominators. 3 times 10 is 30. Now what we need to do is reduce this if we can. To reduce fractions, we see if there's anything that both the numerator and denominator are visible by. So for example, these are both even because this one ends in an 8 and this one ends in a 0. So if I divide the numerator and denominator both by 2, I'm going to get 164 over 15. Now I'm going to try again and see if I can divide by anything else. I can do 164 divided by 2, but 15 divided by 2, that's not a nice number. That gives me a decimal. I could try dividing by 3 in both the numerator and denominator, but I'm going to get a gross decimal number for the numerator. I could try 4, it doesn't work. I could try 5, it doesn't work. And really, nothing's going to work. This is as much as I can reduce it. But since my original problem was in mixed numbers, I'm going to see if I can rewrite this as a mixed number. So we're going to do like we did when we were converting, and we're going to see how many times the denominator goes all the way into the numerator. Well, I know that 15 times 10 is 150. 15 times 11 would be 165. Oh, I don't have that many. I only have 164. So it looks like it goes in 10 full times. And then if I'm only using 150 out of 164, that's going to leave me with 14 left out of 15. So that is equal to 10 and 14/15. Let's try another one. 2 3/8 times 2 1/2. First, I convert to my improper fractions. 8 times 2, and then I'm going to add 3. So that's 16 plus 3 is 19. I leave the denominator the same. Times 2 times 2 is 4. Adding 1 is 5. So I'm multiplying that by 5 over 2. I'm going to multiply straight across like I did last time. So I get 19 times 5. That's 95. And then 8 times 2 is 16. I'm going to try to reduce this, but 95 doesn't divide by 2. Neither of them divide by 3. 95 doesn't divide by 4. 16 doesn't divide by 5. Neither of them divide by 6. Yeah, I'm not getting anywhere. So let's try to see what this looks like as a mixed number. So let's see how many times 16 goes into 95. Well, we know 16 times 1 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. And don't worry, you can use a calculator for this. 16 times 3 is 48. And I don't know my multiples of 16 bigger than that. 16 times 4 is 64. 16 times 5 is 80. 16 times 6 is 96. Oh, I don't have that many. I only have 95. So I'm going to have to use the fact that 16 only goes into 95 5 times. So I get 5 wholes. I'm only using 80 of the 95. So that leaves me with 15 over 16. So this is 5 and 15/16. We've done the multiplication. Now let's try division. When it comes to dividing mixed numbers, it's very, very similar to multiplying them, but there's one important change. It's called keep, change, flip. It's an easy way to divide fractions. Just like we did before, we're still going to change our mixed numbers into improper fractions. Well, 1/9, that's already a fraction. I don't have to change that. I'm going to leave that. That's divided by, let's change this one. I get 3 times 1 plus another 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So what we're looking at is 1/9 divided by 4/3. Now we're going to do this keep, change, flip thing. What it stands for is keep the first fraction the same. Don't change it at all. Then we're going to change. Right now it's division. We are going to change it to multiplication. Then we flip. Instead of having 4 over 3, we're going to flip it to be 3 over 4. So we're really doing 1/9 times 3/4. And we know how to multiply. That's what we were just doing. So I take numerator times numerator. 1 times 3 is 3. 9 times 4 is 36. They don't both divide by 2, but they do both divide by 3. So let's reduce this. If I divide by 3 in my numerator and denominator, I get 1/12. I can't simplify that anymore. It's not an improper fraction because the numerator is smaller than the denominator, so I don't have to change it to a mixed number. I'm done. We're going to try one more. -2 divided by -3 4/5. First thing I'm going to do is write these as improper fractions. First up, I have -2. That's not a fraction. I want to write it as a fraction, and if you just have a whole number, you can always write it over 1. That is always safe. So I have -2 over 1 divided by, and now I'm going to convert this into an improper fraction. So I have 5 times 3, and then I'm going to add 4. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. So I'm dividing by a -19/5. Now I'm going to do my keep, change, flip. So I keep the first one the same, change from division to multiplication, flip, so I get -5 over 19. First thing that's different about this problem is it has negatives. We have a negative times a negative, that's a positive. So I don't have to worry about the negatives anymore. Now I do the numerators. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 19 is 19. They don't both divide by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it's done. That's all you get.